Okay, guys, sorry about that again. I don't know why I keep doing that. My gosh. My gosh. Okay, well, let me say hi again. Muse, number one, Kim Possible, E-Rock, Candy, Darcy. What's up? I'm going to kind of cut that short, seeing how I'm going to have to repeat myself again. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I had to mute on the stupid OBS because I had people moving around in my house and I didn't want the mic to pick up during all that intro stuff. I need to do something different there, I think. But I just wanted to say hi to everybody. Sorry if I didn't mention you guys personally this time. I'm going to kind of skip that because I did it when it was on mute. But I will say this, Keith and Queen Brat. Yeah, shout out to you guys. They've been having a lot of surgeries going on, and that really sucks. I mean, I've been through that myself a lot. But I do want to give a shout out first here to Sheila S., Tabitha P., Susan D., and Patty H. They were helping support and donated. I haven't checked the PayPal today. My wife will check it for me tomorrow and see what's going on, and I'll get the updated list if there's any donations or anything. I'll make sure I at least mention. I like to give you guys recognition when you guys, I don't take it lightly, guys. It really humbles me that you guys would even want to help me out at all. You know what I mean? So I don't take that kind of thing lightly. It is so appreciated. So anyway, well, I guess I'll just do this real quick. Here's my PayPal link. If you guys want to help out, it's there. I won't even talk about it any longer than that. So it's there if you guys want to help. It's in my description. My P.O. box is in there too if you guys rather do snail mail and send it that way through the mail system. But anyway, so let's just get into it, right? Human resonance. Guys, we had a pretty decent looking little thing over here. And I know I didn't do a video yesterday, guys. I was just having some issues, so I didn't do one. I needed to step back for a second and just hang out, Sometimes we need to do that, but I wanted to come back on because we do have some space weather stuff going on, and we need to talk about a little bit of it anyway. But with the human resonance here, guys, we had a pretty decent spike here. It was kind of long-lasting. It lasted over 24 hours. When we see those kinds of things, most of the time it will affect you a little bit. Remember that these are regional tools, okay? I just show you guys this one because I understand this one more than some of the other graphs and stuff that are being shown, but they have these worldwide. You can access them certain ways. Verte Albertos, he does a great job. I put you guys over there all the time. Check him out in my subscription list. He'll have actually his icon's actually a picture of this right here, what I'm showing you. So that's how you can kind of recognize him. He does a really good job. So, but anyway, you got this. But then we had a little slight uptick here, and then we had this little bump here. And again, if you're getting ringing in your ears and stuff, maybe this is it, maybe not. Always eliminate the possibility of physical problems before you hang your hat solely on this. Okay? Now, I show you guys this first for a reason, because this is the most important tool in my opinion. This thing right here will definitely show when things are getting all jacked up, and it will definitely affect us when this thing is all jacked up. So in essence, this is what's going on. If this thing ain't doing nothing, most likely there ain't a whole lot of other things going on at all. And that's pretty evident in some of the observations that we make. So, I just want to go there with it. Now, again, eliminate physical ailments first before you go hanging all the stuff on this. But this can cause, and it does contribute. So take this to your doctor. Doctors now, a lot of them now understand this, and they do really take that into consideration when diagnosing people. Okay? So Space Weather Prediction Center, we got solar X-ray flux here. Notice how these are dropping out. Why it's dropping out? It's kind of coming back up a little bit right now, but we don't have any sunspots facing us right now. So when that's happening, the solar X-ray flux will drop out. This looks very much like what it looked like during the deepest parts of solar minimum. And we're going to go back and forth here for a while until we get further along in the sun cycle. You're going to start seeing more active times, and then it's going to kind of drop back down to this for a minute. But eventually it's going to go active and stay active for a very extended amount of time. The last activity period we had lasted a little over 2 weeks. That was pretty long, seeing how when we came out, when we were in solar minimum, we didn't have nothing like that. So it is significant to know that. So something else I want to point out real quick too. We were just getting sunspots in the southern hemisphere of the sun. Now they tend to come up here. That is kind of a strange thing that we see sometimes. You can see little active areas here, not too many, but it's enough to start bumping our X-ray back up a little. Not a whole lot though. But you know, the phenomenon of it switching hemispheres like that is kind of it's kind of an odd thing, but it does happen. As we get further and further along in the sun cycle, you're going to see it on both at the same time. So, excuse me, sorry. Proton flux, that's what we look at for radiation storms. Nothing going on there. I'm not going to go much into that right now. Geomagnetic activity. Now, this is where we typically look at first thing, because this is what we get when we get CMEs, high solar wind, all those things that cause a lot of the biggest things that we get concerned about. It'll show up here. And right now our K level, our KP, is right down here at a 1. Very, very low. Very, very inactive. Not much going on at the moment. Notice here, though, we had these little bump ups, right? Well, just before this one, it got up to a 4, which was real close to storm level. And why did it get there? Because we had a coronal hole stream. Remember, we talked about that. So, if you guys read my thumbnail, we got another one coming. It'll be here very, very shortly. Matter of fact, it may even be starting to happen right now. I don't know yet, but this is their predictions. Okay, this is Space Weather Prediction Center, NOAA. So for the 6th, these are the KP numbers, their predictions. 7th and 8th. Notice how we go consistently up right down through here, and then it goes into 4s. Then it kind of swings back down, but then it goes back up. Well, the reason why is we had some coronal holes. And these coronal holes were kind of spaced out just a little bit. When that happens, we'll kind of do that little wave action thing going on. So, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that solar vortex here in a minute, or polar vortex here in a minute, Jay. It definitely is something we're going to talk about, because I think that a lot of what I'm talking about here might have even a little bit of something to do with it. But anyway, here's the ACE data. Now the temperature is now starting to kind of have a little spike. So that makes me wonder if we're not starting to see maybe the beginnings of that coronal hole stream. We're just going to have to wait until the data comes in as it gets here. Here's the solar wind speed. It's definitely within normal range. 3 to 500 is what we look for normal range. Anything above or below that. So, you know, that's what we look for. Now, if it's above, that's when we start getting some pretty decent hits. I've seen this get up to 600 and not really affect us magnetically hardly at all before. And the reason why was because the density itself, the density of that solar wind was really, really low. So, we're going to have a little bit of an uptick of both, but usually initially when we get hit with a solar wind stream, you'll see like one will get here before the other. Okay, at least the uptick. And that's what we tend to see. It kind of piles up in front and then boom, it'll hit you. And that's usually it's pretty you'll have a delay is what I'm trying to say. And you can see that if you look here at this particular graph. Do you guys see up here? This is the Enlil model, okay? Again, this is the NOAA model. Now, we're right here in time. Okay, right at the change of the day, right? Actually, we're kind of like probably about right here. So, it's 2 days behind us, and it forecasts 5 days out in front of us. But what I want to point out to show you guys what I meant by one will get here before the other, is if you look at the spike in the density, it started to spike before the solar wind speed itself did. Okay, so that's what we look for, and it's indicative. That's a very indicative signature of a coronal hole stream, just solar wind. Now, if they both spike at the same time, that's more so of a CME signature. I want to point that out. And, you know, I've said that before, but I want to make sure that everybody understands why. And that's why. Because it's not a blast all at once. It's flowing out of the sun. It's something we continually get anyway, but when you get the holes, we get intensified solar wind. That's what causes it. We always have some solar wind hitting us all the time. I mean, that's just what it is. We wouldn't want that to stop. If it stopped, our sun wouldn't be there. So just so you know. But yeah. So that's why. Now, so why I show you guys that is because now that you know that, you could come over here to the data, and you wouldn't even have to look at that model. You could see when the density starts picking up and the speed isn't yet, and then the speed will come in behind it. Then you pretty much know that that's from a coronal hole stream. Now, if they're both spiking up at the exact same time, that's most likely a CME or a solar storm of some sort, like a filament release or a blast off the sun. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. That's the difference. I want people to kind of understand that. Now, also, even though we're getting ready to get hit with this coronal hole stream, we have to pay attention to the BZ. That's the angle of which it hits us. Okay. If this isn't like -6 or below, typically it actually almost blocks stuff from our system. Okay? The angle just isn't right. So if it's not like, you know, at least in the negative at all, now we can take a big blast from a CME, but typically from a coronal hole stream, if you don't have the right angle, it's not going to come into our system. We're going to it's going to go hit us and you just go around. Hey, there's Vortex. I just mentioned you, brother. Good to see you in here, man. So yeah, you guys need to go check out his channel. So, you know, he'll be able to explain that a lot better than I can. So anyway, you got the phi angle. This is the polarity of the solar wind itself. Remember, solar wind gets here on a magnetic connection line between us and the sun. That's the road that it takes. So if you listen to what I said there, what is solar wind? It's charged gas. It's plasma. Charged particles. So a charge is what? It has a negative or a positive, right? So the polarity of that can switch. And when it does, we'll get a little jerk. But we got something a little extra going on here too that I'm going to just throw in here before we move any further. And that's this. And this is something nobody's talked about yet. We're getting ready to cross over the heliospheric current sheet. Now, I haven't talked about that much, but they tell you exactly what it is right here. It's a vast wavy structure in the interplanetary space, spreading regions, and I know it sounds like a bunch of word salad, of opposite magnetic polarity. That's really what you need to focus on right there. Opposite magnetic polarity. Why does that matter? Well, if we go back to here, remember I said the phi angle, right? So remember what I said, when it does flip sometimes, it'll jerk on us magnetically. Well, the same thing happens when we cross over that sheet. So if we're getting jerked on by this at the same time as this solar wind's arriving, it most certainly could push us up a little higher on the KP. Get us into storm level. It could just make things a little bit more strong and intense. So that's expected really to be here at the same time. So we're going to have to pay attention to that. Now, they don't know exactly when we're going to cross over this heliospheric current sheet, but they have a really good idea of when we do. Essentially, it's just little sections of our solar system that has a different polarity. And there's a line. And once you cross that line, you're in the polarity is reversed. It's different. So that's what gives us a tug or a push, however you want to say it. So if we're getting like that at the same time as we're getting these winds, I think most definitely can and probably will give us a little harder of a hit. Now, it's all going to, like I said a minute ago, it's going to depend on what this BZ is doing. This is probably the most important marker that we look at, okay? Because if the angle is not right, we block it so easy, it's not even funny. We've blocked, like, really back to, well, the most recent event that this thing really blocked for us was a couple months ago. If you remember, we had a double CME fired at us. And neither one of them hardly even did anything to us because of this angle. Matter of fact, the one in the front actually helped this angle move a little bit, and it filled in some of the cracks in our magnetic field. So the second CME behind it basically got obliterated by our magnetic field and went right around us. Okay, so, and I know it's a lot of stuff to try to take in right there, guys. Don't try to remember all of that. I get it. I really think that if you guys, if you didn't understand exactly what I said there, just go back and rewatch that. But I think it's important to know that, because so many people just focus on one or two different data points and they just leave it alone. And usually those data points are the density and the speed. Yes, most likely that's what's going to push us in the storm level, but this here has to be right. If it's not, we won't get there. It's that simple. So, here's the, I'm not going to show you that one. Well, I'll show you the other one. But this right here actually is basically the same stuff I just showed you up there. This one throws in electron flux. It's the fluctuation of the amount of electrons that are in our system right now. This is the magnometers. Obviously, that's pretty explanatory there with the word magnet in it. But you're going to see this stuff start moving, okay, here in the next few hours, I would assume. So, let's do this. Where do I want to go next from here? Well, I just got through talking about Aroura, so we'll go over here. Now, we've been having some pretty intense Auroras, guys, and the reason why is because of the solar wind coming in, okay? And as you can see, this is the North Pole, this is the South Pole, and they're both going to react at the same time. So let me just kind of roll this around. And you're seeing how everything kind of just calmed down a little bit. Well, the reason why is because this stuff the data is just there. It's normal right now. Okay, but this is going to change. Okay, right here. It's going to change. Well, the prediction is it's going to change here in the next few hours. It's probably, like I said, it's probably already starting to happen. So that's what, we'll go over here and look at this again. But this is going to, probably spike again. You're going to see this green. And depending on when it hits us, if you live here in the States, it could push Aurora down here. Depending on how far it gets, to how strong it is. That BZ angle has a lot to do with that. Now, we're talking about the polar vortex too, remember, guys? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you over here to ISWA real quick. That's the CME that blew off. I'll talk about that real quick. It's not coming at us. Okay, the Earth is here. This CME blew off over here. It's barely even going to eclipse stereo A. That's that red box right there. This is not coming at us, but it was a substantial CME. It wasn't something like, just forget about looking at it. This thing it had a little something behind it, but it missed us. It's not going to hit us, so that's what I would say there. But to go back to the ISWA I wanted to show you, where'd it go? Here it is. Yeah. Let's see here. Trying to remember what I was going to say here. Oh, okay, yeah, so we got the solar wind coming in, and that BZ angle and all that. Well, here's your lines of magnetism, okay? This is what we're seeing, and the reason why the polar vortex matters, and the reason why I'm saying this is because you see these pole lines? They're black lines, okay? The black lines that come off of here. Our solar wind comes into our system a lot easier on the poles. Okay, so given that, you can expect probably more heat to build too. Okay, now the heat will resonate down into our planet. Okay, down here if it's strong enough. So if we're constantly getting blasted on our poles and stuff, it can, heat up our atmosphere a little bit. Now it's not going to cause our vortex to split, but it can help and add to it. So let me show you the splitting of it first. Okay, so you're looking at the Earth here. I'm just going to zoom in some more, I guess. And if you see the United States here, you see up here, there's usually one vortex up here, guys. Okay, so what's happened is there was warm weather that crept in over here. And it broke the vortex in half. It pushed it down because it has to go around it. So you're looking at two vortexes now, split it right in half. So there's a lot of reasons why this stuff can happen. Lots of reasons. It's not like this is the first time it's ever happened, but it is becoming more and more consistently happening. You go back 15, 20 years, this wasn't happening as much as it is now. So when this vortex is splitting, you got to understand how it affects our global climate. These upper winds is really what drives our weather here, guys. So when you get different climate readings and data and stuff comes into certain areas that are actually heating up that really probably shouldn't be at this time, and it creeps into other areas, then you're going to have, climate unrest throughout the globe. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Okay, and also if you take in consideration, remember the noctilucent clouds? I've been talking about that now for weeks. These things were 2 weeks late. Okay, what are these things? These are metallic blue-looking clouds that form in the highest parts of our atmosphere. Okay, and what happens is water vapor freezes around meteor dust, and it causes the clouds to look like that. So they happen. There's a noctilucent clouds season, and it's in the summertime of each hemisphere. Well, like I said, these were 2 weeks late down here in the South Pole this year, in the Antarctic. So also they were seeing them up in Argentina, which is too far north typically to see them. So that's happened twice this year in Argentina. It only happened a handful of times before that, and they've been recording this data of this phenomenon for like 50 or 60 years now. So there's a significant amount of data to be able to say, hey, why are we seeing noctilucent clouds that far north? And during the same year when they were 2 weeks late. Well, if you guys remember what I said back then, I was even talking about these jet streams. Because I was bringing in the idea that maybe because the meteor dust is hanging around our poles, maybe at some level the jet stream can actually draw it from the South Pole and bring it up north a little bit more. And then that's why we're seeing it. Who knows? I just think it's something we need to take in consideration. And solar weather can affect the temperature, guys. It does. I mean, it affects lightning, all of that. We can't rule all that out. So I really want to make sure that everybody understands that there's a lot of reasons why one specific phenomenon can happen. A lot of times we'll show you one thing and just move on. Well, there's a lot of reasons, a lot of different things that could cause the same anomaly. We just can't stop at one thing and be like, oh, okay, well, let's move on now. Well, no, we gotta make sure that we put it all in there, and at least all that we can and all that we know. And that's what I try to do. And I succeed and I fail sometimes, but if we're all trying to bring it all out there, let's just do it. Why? And the reason why it doesn't get brought out, I can tell you why, is because people get so upset because when people don't agree with them. I don't get upset over that at all. Matter of fact, I encourage it because it causes me to look at stuff different. It makes me do certain things, that I typically probably wouldn't do unless I was being challenged. All right? So here is a weather report here, and this is what they're trying to say. Now, if you guys look right here, you see that red? Well, if you go down here, they're showing you how this is happening. Here's a warm block, and it was over here above Siberia, and it actually migrated this way. And that's what split that polar vortex in half, and that's why it's coming around the warm air. Okay? That's how this happens, and that's why it's dipping down into the States, and that's why we're getting a lot of cold weather, air, and a lot of snow. So this is showing you what is actually happening. But the question comes is, why is it so warm? You know, I don't know if it's why is it so warm so much as why is the warm weather there, right? Instead of in a different position. So that stuff can and does affect us in a lot of different ways. So this is exactly, you know, you guys can go look at all this stuff for yourself. This is just a couple articles I simply did a Google search on. It really is that simple, because everybody's talking about this a little bit. Now you got to understand, when mainstream media starts talking about stuff like this, sometimes they're shooting themselves in the foot, and they're showing us stuff that they probably don't want us to really talk about. They don't realize they're doing it. But that's what's you know, I'm not saying that that's what's going on in this case, but it is kind of funny that this falls into, you know, a lot of what we talk about. And I think they probably think they're doing like the whole global warming community a favor by talking about this warm. No, they're not. It's actually proving the opposite. Just saying. What's up, George? Hey, Robin. Good to see you, Noble. So, yeah, and that's kind of what we're seeing, you know. So, with that polar vortex, that's kind of what we're seeing there. Now, again, I can't go much more into any of that, but magnetically, okay, we're seeing some weird stuff. I just have to say it, okay. I guess what I want to do, this is today. This is the wind speed. The sun's off to the left. The solar wind's coming from left to right. It's going to hit our magnetosphere, and it's going to go, majority of it goes around us, but it causes things to do things at certain levels, speeds, and all that. I'm noticing stuff that I've not seen before back here. Did you guys see that right there? That's exactly what I'm talking about. I want you guys to watch this right here. I'm going to run this back. And it's happening almost in the same spot, and it has been for like 3 days now. You're going to see stuff move from right to left. And then just kind of move around nonchalantly all behind us and stuff. Watch. See that? So, at this time, I'm forced to have to talk about it. I try not to talk about this particular subject a whole lot because there's so many different ideas, and people get upset when people don't agree, like I said. But you can see, like this right here. Just look right here where my cursor is. Watch what happens. Boom. It's like it shot right out there. You guys seeing that? Okay, and it does it twice. And obviously our magnetic field is completely circling around us and protecting us. But the majority of it should be out here. But I'm seeing stuff that, like I said, I've not seen it on this one before. It's like it's starting there. And that's really what's got me like, what in the world is happening here? And again, and I know all the theories. I've heard everybody what they talk about, and there's a lot of good points on a lot of different sides. I'm not going to go into detail of what they say or what they think is going on. I'm just going to show you guys the information because I simply just don't know what's causing it. Even though, you know, I get a lot of good ideas from other people talking about it, but this is the density. You're going to see the density do the same thing. See that? Watch right here. Okay? Now, it's normal to get some of that. But usually we'll get hit in the front first, and it kind of does this little number. Right? But when you don't see nothing in the front, or too much of anything in the front, and then you see that happen, it just really makes you wonder. And it even kind of shows you a little bit more over here. Watch what happens over here on this one. Back this up a little bit. You can see it just continually going from that same spot and shooting our direction. And then it, do you see this? Okay, that's a typical signature that we do see, but it does tend to like widen out for some reason right now. So if I take this, you can see, boom, see it? And then again. I mean, it's pretty easy to see once you know what you're looking at there, right? So, does it mean anything? You know, I guess that's the next question. Well, if we look over here, my question now is, why are we having more pressure back here? Because this is showing pressure than we are in the front, even on our bow shock. There's more pressure here right now on the back side than we're getting in the front, according to this particular model. Why? You know, I've been showing you guys this little anomaly back here too. It's still happening right there. See, look. I mean, you tell me. Now watch. There's no pressure's happening over here. Now watch it all turn red back here. Why? You know what I mean? I mean, why? And like I said, there's a lot of people have a lot of things to say about this. But I'm just going to show you guys the observation. You guys can run with what you got to run with. But, you know, I don't really have a clear answer on why. I agree with a lot of different points from a lot of different people. Because they all got some valid things to say. And again, you know, I allow people to have that free whatever here on my channel. They can talk about whatever. It's not going to offend me, unlike it does a lot of other people. But that is, yeah, when you don't see nothing happening in the front, okay, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of light pressure back here, but then it turns red, you got to ask yourself why. Hey, Jason, what's up? Glad to have you. Wayne sent you, huh? Yeah, I'm going to show Wayne's channel. Well, matter of fact, I'm going to show Wayne real quick right now. I was going to do that in a little while anyway. Guys, stick around here just for 1 second with me here. I want to show you guys a channel that I've been going to here for a while that I think is awesome. He's probably live right now. Yeah. Watch with Wayne. I've taken you guys here before, but check him out. He's showing live streams from all over the world, and he talks about it. There's his chat. You guys can check him out there. But I would definitely go over here and check him out, guys. I mean, he does a really good job. He's on every day. He's not going to throw in too much BS to you. It's just not going to happen over there. He's going to let you say pretty much what you want to say in the chat, as long as it's respectful. Doing okay, Uncle. How you guys doing? So there is his, there's a link to his channel. Hey, Axe, what's up? What's your Axe? Good to see you, man. Yeah, I mean, guys, hey, Tom, good to see you, brother. But, guys, listen. We got to support each other, okay? We got to. And this guy here, Wayne, he's doing it for the right reasons. He's not out here to give you guys a bunch of BS. He's showing you guys what's going on. He's not adding to it or anything like that. He's showing you what's going on. And I'm showing you his channel because I don't talk about the political stuff or any of the protesting and all that kind of thing. And that's why I show you guys these guys' channel that I believe in. I believe in these people. Okay? I believe in Wayne and what Wayne does. I believe in Ron and what Ron shows over at Emergency Management Associates. I believe in all of that. Okay? I believe in all these guys. I believe in Mark Pyers. His vision and his voice for positivity is unmatched on the internet. Okay? You can't find anybody out there better in positivity than what you can when you find Mark Pyers. You're not going to find it. And I would go that far here with Wayne too. He's just simply doing what he needs to do. And he's showing you guys A lot of people don't know that, you know, how to get to these webcams and get to these reports and stuff. He knows how to get there. And it makes a really good hub to come here. And again, he's not going to blow smoke. He's just going to tell you what it is, and he's going to move on. So, yeah, I support Wayne and what he does, and I appreciate him sending people over here, you know. And again, like I said, I sent you guys over there a few times, and I would continue to do so. I believe in this guy and his channel. Just like I said, like Mark and Ron and everybody else. We got to support each other. So anyway. Hey, S. Barber, what's up? Good to see you guys. Tell Wayne I said, hey. Yeah, it just definitely is AIG. Glad everybody's in here. But, yeah, so we're getting this pressure, guys. And, again, why are we getting it back here and nothing in the front first? I just, it makes you really got to look at this. You just have to. Again, this is a subject I typically try to avoid. Hey, Watchwoman, what's going on? Good to see you. And, you know, like I said, guys, because there's so much contention around this kind of thing about what's actually happening back here and what's causing and all this. And some of it can be very much explained with tool issues and stuff like that. But other things aren't necessarily explained away like that. Okay? So those are where we got to look. We can't just run with something we don't know what we're looking at. Okay? So watch right here. You guys see that? I mean, and it just keeps happening. So let me take you here. This is a video. Okay? This is a video I took the other day. I'm going to pause it. This is when it was fluttering and stuff. Okay, you see all that fluttering back there? I know it's kind of hard. I'm just going to play it. How about that? So this is a lot of pressure. And this is when all that fluttering stuff was happening. And then after this is when I started noticing all this stuff in the back. Okay? So let me take it forward. And you're seeing very similar stuff back here, what we're seeing now. But this little stop, stutter, flutter bullcrap, it still got me puzzled. Look at that. I mean, I don't get what's going on there. I mean, I could say what I think, and then what I'm telling you there is it ain't going to be nice. It just, you know, because when you see our magnetic field back here, remember what I said. When you see it, I guess I should have paused it. You see how it's kind of flattened out? It should be, you know, most of the time it's just perfectly round. Not perfect, but only, you know, when we're doing it on the front and the back side at the same time, that means we're getting compressed like an egg. So, you know, that right there shows you what's happening. You know, when this thing is stretching out like that, that means that we're getting hit pretty good here. So let me take you guys back over here. And if I take you over here to ISWA, okay, I'll show you that same phenomenon in the back on this other model. It's a different model because I thought, well, maybe the tool was messing up. Well, this is a different model. The sun's off to the right, and it's moving. Stuff should be moving from right to left. So let me take this back. Now watch what happens. See how we flattened out back here again? Same exact signature stuff. Okay, it's showing you the same thing. So I know it's not a tool issue. Now, I seen something on this earlier too. And so I'm just going to show it to you. Now, remember we've been talking about a weak spot out here. And there is still a weak spot. I see it all the time. Now, this little spot back here has been there for years. I don't know why it's there. It might just be whatever. Remember, this model here is like 20 years old. It doesn't mean that it's not valid, though. All it means is it's old. People still use it. And it was valid then. Why ain't it valid now? That's what I tell people about it. Because they'll start picking on this model like it's whatever. But some people that pick on this model, they built a channel around it. Then now they're saying it's a bunch of garbage. It's like, what? Okay, whatever. But, you know, whether we can trust it 100%, what we can do is we can look at it today and we can tell if it's different tomorrow, right? I mean, at the very least, we'll be able to say something's happening here that wasn't happening yesterday, if it's different. But watch this. Okay, you see that jump? We go from that to that. There was a time jump there, okay, by about 4 hours. Now, watch what happens after this. You guys see this back here? It's kind of faint right here. And we'll keep moving forward. Okay, now we're pushing out in all directions. Look. See? But you can see. You see this backwards? It shouldn't be this shape right here. That's for out in front of us. So why are we getting a shape like that right there? It shouldn't be like that behind us. That should be like that out in front of us. And then you can see it pushed down. And you can see the stuff just moving in the wrong direction like I was showing you guys on the other model. Watch right in here. So I'm going to go forward again. See it pushing to the right? When that stuff's pushing to the right, you know what that means, guys? It means it's pushing harder than what we're getting from the sun. That's what that means. Now, granted, it's inside of our magnetic field, not our magnetic field, but our magnetopause. So we're blocking some of the solar wind back here for it. But still, it's still moving against the solar wind and into our magnetic field. So then you see this more clearly now. And then we get that. That's what we got right now. Well, let me update it. Let's see if it gives us anything else. It might. Probably not, but I just updated it before we started. So if you guys see that, man, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, wow. You know? Good to see everybody in here. I just want to say hi to everybody. Hey, King, P-Track, Tom. Good to see you guys. Robin. So, yeah, guys, I mean, I don't really understand why people have such a big deal with using this model nowadays. I think we should still look at it. I think that we should still take it just as much as what we used to. But I'm not saying that we shouldn't look at the new ones either. I think we should. That's what we're looking at here. Okay? So this little mess we're having back here behind us right now, it's been going on since, I don't know, 4 or 5 days now. It hasn't stopped. So here's the Australian model. Shout out to my Aussies out there. Again, sun's off to the left. Stuff's going to be moving left to right. And you see these, you know, conditions are very normal right now. So you're not going to see much. Which again adds to what I was saying back here. If we're having normal conditions, why are we having pressure build up back here and not in the front? And it just absolutely makes no sense. So here is the geoelectric field model. Now, guys, this is a different one than what I've shown you before, okay? This one over here on the right is the one that I've shown you before, that I show you almost all the time. This is space weather's effect on our electrical grid. But this one over here is their attempt at a model 3D, all right? They're still working on this model. It's still kind of like in testing phases. Now, the stuff that you see out here is probably pretty correct. But this inside here, they don't have it all set up yet. That's why it's kind of blocked out like that. Now, if we look at it over here on the one-dimensional thing, I'll just push play. And you'll see the difference. Okay? You see how it flashed over there? This is just giving you a more detailed visual. Okay? So if we zoom in, well, it didn't even do nothing for me, did it? Stupid thing. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying there. So if we look at it like that, you'll be able to tell. Now, you're going to notice that a lot of these like higher affected areas, these are going to be around your bigger metropolitan areas. because we're talking about unnatural electrical components. Where are most of those going to be at? Well, they're going to be in your cities because it's more highly populated. That's why. That's what their attempt is here. Okay, and they're going to get this. This is going to be a really awesome model once they get this up and really going, really good. This one's good enough. I mean, man, it's something we didn't have before. You know, it even tells you like the maximum effect in Kelvins over here. It's yeah, it's it's a good one. So yeah. Now let's go over here. This is seeds, okay? We'll take a look at LASCO C2. Now, LASCO C2 is on the Soho Observatory, all right? So Earth is here. The observatory sits right out in front of Earth, and it looks at the sun all the time. And it orbits with the Earth around the sun, always looking at the sun. Now, they can turn it. They turn it sometimes, but most of the time, it's always looking at the sun. That's its mission, all right? It's really out there. It gives us a pretty decent warning system for stuff coming from the sun, but it only gives you like an hour or two warning. But, you know, it is what it is. Now, we could talk about Lagrange positions, which is the positions they try to put the satellites in and stuff. L1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think. I'm not going to go into that right now because that's a long conversation. But that is why we see satellites in the positions that they're in sometimes. Okay, they just work better in specific positions. They stay in an orbit and everything else without having to burn a bunch of fuel and stuff, being corrected and all that. But anyway, this is from our view. Now what you're seeing, you're going to see a little blast here and there, not much. But I'm going to go back to yesterday. And then you're going to see this over here. See that? Watch it shoot out over here on the left. It's going to happen. Going to happen. There it is. Okay? That's a CME. That is this CME. So I just wanted to show that to you real quick. If that would have happened, I don't know, 12, 24 hours from now, it possibly could be coming in our direction. Probably a couple more, probably 2 days. About 2 days late to be really giving us any kind of issue. So it's not going to hit us. Just so everybody understands that. Now we can look at SDO here. Again, this satellite that this camera's on is virtually in the same position as the one I just showed you. It's not in the exact same position. It's a little bit more further to the right if you're looking from the perspective of Earth. But it's doing the same thing. Okay, it's always looking at the sun. This actually does a figure 8 orbit, geosynchronistic orbit. What that means is it stays over top of the same area of the Earth. So it's actually rotating with the Earth. But they always rotate it on its axis to keep its eye on the sun. So even when it's on the back side of the Earth, they're trying to keep its eye on the sun. And every once in a while, we'll go into what they call SDO eclipse season. And the Earth will get in between the satellite and the sun for a few hours. And that's what you're going to see right here. Okay, it'll go black. You'll see it. See that? That's what was happening. It was in that correct position that it just kind of went in front of it. Just for a second. It doesn't take long. It doesn't miss much data. But that's why they have it in a figure 8 pattern. Because it reduces the amount of time that it's going to miss. Because the closer you are to the poles of Earth, the less of the Earth is going to get in the way. So if it's doing a figure 8 pattern like this, it'll be over down here at certain times, and I think they try to time that when it's on the backside. But I could be wrong on that, but I don't think so. I think that's what the reason of the figure 8 pattern is. At least one of the reasons. So just wanted to put that out there. I thought that's good information for everybody to know. But you'll see the CME over here. It'll pop off. We'll watch it here for a second. It's starting to happen right there. You see that? Okay. So that was the CME. It wasn't, it wasn't a big deal, but it definitely had a CME. Now, the more thing that's more impressive to me is there are no sunspots right here, guys. We're looking at a blank disk again. They call it a blank disk when you look at the sun and there's no sunspots on it. I'm not calling the sun a disk. I'm just saying that that's what they call it. That's the terminology they use. Obviously, when we look at the sun from this perspective, it looks like a disk, right? That's why they do that. And the reason why I say that is there were channels out there trying to say that people were they thought that the sun was a disk. No, that's not what we're saying. I would hope people wouldn't even, I just don't even understand that line of thinking, but okay. Yeah. So if we go back over here for a minute, spaceweather.com. Again, remember we're going to be crossing over that heliospheric current sheet, different polarities. And if it happens at the same time that we get this solar wind, it could push our KP up. Alright, it'll give us a little bit more of a hit. And I went over that earlier on in the video, so if you guys missed that, please go back and look. But here, look at this, guys, okay? So this coronal hole here is the one we're getting ready to get the solar wind from. It was right here. And it's taken it like 3 to 4 days for it to get here. But notice what's going on here. So we're just going to get a little lag time, and we're going to have another coronal hole stream. Okay, so conditions are not going to be too quiet for a while. And it's not because of sunspots and CMEs. It's going to be because of coronal holes. I've seen the sun open up a coronal hole that was almost the whole front side. You know, we've seen that before. So, you know, these little ones, yes, they can still produce very high solar wind. And they could put us into storm conditions. So what do we expect to see? Well, Aroura, uptick in earthquakes, all the above from there. You know, that's pretty much what we expect at low storm conditions. But if we go down here, this is the near-Earth object list. Okay, these are known asteroids that are supposed to be coming close. They measure these by lunar distance, the distance between us and the moon. Okay, so when you see a 6 lunar distance, it's like going to the moon 6 times. Okay, that's how far away it's missing us. Now I know that for most people that sounds like a long distance. And it really truly is. Okay, but when you're talking about the vastness of space, it's not that much. That's why they call it near-Earth object. Because when you look at some of these, they'll be like 19.8 lunar distance. And you're sitting there thinking to yourself, that ain't that close. Well, if you look at some of the old Hubble photographs and stuff, you start to realize real quick how small we actually are. And when we're talking about these kinds of distances, that's really what they're basing it off of. And then over here it tells you how big they are. Sometimes they'll miss them. They miss a lot of them, okay? They can't help it. They've only got like 3 telescopes looking for these things. The one that was down in, I think it was either New Zealand or Australia, they defunded that one back in 2013. So we don't even have that one to add to this anymore. So, you know, why? I don't get it. I would think that, you know, they would want to keep stuff like this funded so we could protect ourselves if we could do anything about it at all. Now, right now, I don't think we could do much about it. You know, obviously, if we're going to get an asteroid that's coming at us that's 468, you know, diameters big, or 1,024, look at this one. That's actually pretty close for one that's that big. 5.3 lunar distance. That's March 21st. Now, I don't know. That one was discovered. Well, I don't know when that one was discovered. You're going to find that when you come over here, they're going to put the year that it was discovered in its name. So you're going to see a lot of 2021s over here. Because that's usually what we see on here. Is the ones that were discovered this year. But you see a few of them on here. 2015, 2011. This one here must have been discovered quite a while ago. Because it doesn't even have a year on it. Unless that's what the 1937 means. Maybe it was discovered way back then. I don't know. Maybe that's what that's trying to represent. I can't say for sure though, so I wouldn't like hang my hat on that. But that's what this stuff is. Okay. We're getting around that time of year where we're going to start talking about these noctilucent clouds are going to start going away too. Okay, and it's going to be switching to the northern part here in the next few months is what I'm talking about. Not like tomorrow or next week or something, but remember, it's summertime in each hemisphere we see those. Okay, so earthquakes. Now, I was looking at these earlier, guys, and I have to say that I don't know that this is very active, at least to what we're used to seeing. I'm not saying it's inactive. I'm just saying it looks to be a little bit less active than what I would have expected to see. Let me put all earthquakes on there. That kind of changes things a little bit, I guess. This is all magnitudes. So obviously we see them in the hot spots always. And when we don't see them in the hot spots, that actually makes us worry a little bit more. Looks like we had another one down here. Yeah, it was a 4.7. That's probably still remnants of that big 6.9, 7.0 earthquake. I think Ron and Terry did an analysis on that, and their analysis had it bringing it in, over a 7. So, who knows how big that actually really was. I think it was probably bigger than what they were showing, just by going off of what Ron and them were talking about. But then you got these, and then there was one over here. What was that one at? I seen one that was... Where'd it go? Is this it? No. Maybe it was over here. Yeah. There's a 5.1 in Armenia. It's not like that's not that out of the way, but it did. I'm not sure if it did any damage or anything, but it was around a little bit of population. Not a whole bunch, but a little. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So, you guys know where I'm going, right? I'm going over here to Mark's. Hang out here over here for a while. Check out Wayne's channel too, guys, please. But yeah, I'm going to go over here, hang out with Mark, and I'll be in the chat over here, guys. If you guys want to come over here and talk with me in the chat, please do. We have a good time over here, guys. Like I said before, I just want you guys to give it a chance. Because I really do think it could change your mood if you're in a bad mood. It definitely could just help keep your spirits lifted. We have a good time over here. So please come over and give it a shot. It's not because I'm trying to build anybody's channel or anything like that. I really truly believe in what he does. Okay? Just like I believe in what Wayne's doing. And Ron. But this here is a positive outlet for me. And I want you guys to have a positive place to go to. As much as he keeps saying that, my channel kind of actually helped build his, yeah, it probably did. But he was building me at the same time. I needed this positivity. Because frankly, guys, I was ready to quit YouTube. Just to be honest. It was so negative. So negative. And I had forgotten what positivity looked like. Just to be honest with you. And that's what this showed me. The only thing that kept me going before I found Mark was you guys. That's the God's honest truth. So I hope that you guys will come over here and at least give it a shot. And tell him Wade just sent you. It'll make him feel happy. It'll help him. It helps keep him motivated. He's been live now for how many days is this one now? I forget how many days. It's like 760 some days or something like that. Straight. Never a day off. 2 to 6 hour live streams every day. Kind of crazy. So. But yeah, guys. Hey, Bonnie and Soul. Good to see you. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate that, bud. 767. Okay, cool. Yeah, 767 days, guys. So. let's go over here and give him a love bomb, and I'm going to head that way. I'll keep you guys posted on all the solar weather that I can. And, you know, check out Wayne's channel too. He's doing an awesome work over there. Really is. His setup is nice. He pulls in all the live streams that's going on around the planet. Everybody's cordial in the chat for the most part. And, you know, there ain't no censorship going on my channel, Mark's channel, or Wayne's channel. People can say what they want, as long as it ain't vulgar and disrespectful. That's what I like about these two guys. One of the things is they're awesome. I mean, I can't say anything bad at all, period. You know, when somebody lets you keep your voice, that's enough. You know what I mean? And that's why I did my chat the way that I did it at the beginning. And I continue to do it that way. For that reason. Because I know what it's like to feel when you're getting censored. You feel like you have nowhere to speak your mind. And that builds up. And it makes you explode. And this right here is what got me away from all that. Because I literally, the stuff I report on to you guys, I said this before. The most of it's bad news, right? I mean, it could be bad news. It's not the most positive thing in the world to talk about. But, yeah, we have to find a positive outlet. And I try not to put that negativity in here. But sometimes it's hard to do when you're reporting on stuff what I'm talking about, you know, possible bad stuff. So we all need that release, and this was that release for me. I got to thank Sig for sending me that way. Scott did too. Scott and Sig both sent me that way, and I'm so glad they both found me. And it just it's really changed the way I look at things. So I really hope that you guys can come over here and hang out with me, and maybe you'll feel the same way. All I ask is for you guys to give it a shot. And that's it. So, anyway, guys, God bless. Yahusha saves, and